So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends, wherever you are watching. Today, I wanted to speak about terminally ill patients, particularly cancer patients. Last few weeks, we are meeting quite a few different cancer patients who are terminally ill. They've been through their surgery, their chemotherapy, their radiation, there may be their second rounds of chemotherapy, and now there's a relapse, and there's nothing that can be done about them. I've also seen taken some cases of pet animals who also have cancer or are terminally ill. Now when they come and ask us the advice, we usually give a very sound advice about how you should take care of patients who are terminally ill. It is very hard for us as a family member to accept that someone very dear to us is not going to live anymore, and maybe we don't know how much time is left, and we don't have strength to go there, see them through all the sufferings. We are uh, very hurt by looking at them in lot of pain, and various parts of the body need attention, or the organs are failing, or they have a lot of side effects of lot of medication, and they are battling, and we have a strong attachment to them, and we see them through this pain. Just about last week, uh, one of the person I know sent me a very interesting note about his grandfather who is 79, who had uh, a very fast growing cancer, also has tuberculosis, also had other health conditions, and the cancer had already spreaded, and it was very, very hard to handle. So I said, now this case is already looking not so good. The best thing would be to go home, take the nursing care, and let him have great time with his own family members, whatever time is left, so that the person may have many things that he wants to share and tell his family members before he wish goodbye. But the it didn't happen. The family members and the doctors at the hospital, everyone forced for chemotherapy. At this stage, why chemotherapy? Why chemo rounds? What I heard finally was that five doctors, five hospitals, down 1 million rupees in 3 weeks, and now they're going to take him home with a very, say, drained body, with a lot of blue marks all over body because of the blood leaking out, and a lot of blood collection, test, lots of medication, lots of trial and error, and very hard. Even the person is very depressed, cannot speak, cannot eat, and we do not know how long he will live now. But are we lengthening the death? Are we making death a lot more painful? What we have in our hand, we can still make it beautiful, make it very high quality life, to those who are terminally ill. They may have many different desires or many things that they want to tell to their dear ones, but here some of these drugs knock them off. The drugs are more powerful sometimes than the disease, and they lose their consciousness, or they are tied to the machines to die alone. So this, I feel that to find a doctor who gives you a very balanced advice, what needs to be done and how one has to be prepared for the death that may happen. So I've seen repeatedly they are thinking that something can be done. They'll go to the hospitals will end up suggesting uh, chemotherapy or something. And when I see patients sometimes dying with the first round of chemo or the second round, because they just have no vitality in their body to take any more strong drugs also, and they succumb even faster. So it's like my very gentle way of telling that if the vitality is very low, the age is against the person, there are multi organ failures, then it is better to bring the person home, give the nursing care, give the support, love, care, and let him go surrounded by his dear ones, instead of tied down to lot of machines and lengthening his death, actually not life, or make him live like a vegetable, which will not be something that even he or she never wished. Most of us would want to go in a flash of a second, you know and leave the body and go. That would be the best way to make an exit. No trouble to anyone, no trouble to yourself. But that doesn't happen. We are not all fortunate, but we can always do something. We can always make life better for our dear ones. And I usually also give them support with the flower remedies. Earlier I spoke about death and dying, and in that also I was mentioning exactly the same thing, that we do have to welcome death as and when it is going to happen, because it is a part of life as much as birth. And for us to come to terms with it, to come to a state of mind which is more calm, and give them a very calm atmosphere where they can live or breathe their last. And the flower remedies that really help, some of the flower remedies I would like to name is rock rose, which is helping with the panic or the the agitation that can happen during the last few days. The person is sometimes depressed, the entire life is coming in front of me, there's a lot of pain. So there are flower remedies that also help with the pain, like chamomile or lavender. Also there are flower remedies that can make the transition very very comfortable for the person. So we also put sometimes on their belly button a few drops of flower remedies. The one which we have is called as first aid remedies. So think about the overdoing the treatment when a patient is beyond now, has a very low vitality. Think about it. Is it necessary? Is it necessary to shift him from doctor to doctor, from hospital to hospital? Just last week I had a phone call from a patient whose mother has suffered, I think, for 2 or 3 years from lung cancer. Then the chemotherapy given, that got better, it spread it to other parts of the body, it spread it to brain, it spread it to spine. Now there's paraplegia, and it's been given, was given a drug, I think, which was costing something like 5 lakh, 500,000 rupees per round or something. It's like incredible. It is really hard. It is, unfortunately, we do not get patients very early when they get cancer diagnosed or any other terminal illnesses. If they come earlier, it is better, because we can always support. Like I had a patient whom I had treated for panic attacks many years ago, like maybe 18, 20 years. She got completely better and was very well for many, many years. Only about recently, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So then she just thought of me as the first doctor to come and talk. And then I explained to her very clearly, she was still young. I said, all right, you take your chemotherapy, you take your radiation, whatever drugs are prescribed, you take. I will support you all along with the flower remedies. Also, may be possible with the emotional healing that is required along with the flower remedies, and that will support you a lot. We have remedies to reduce the side effects of chemotherapy, go through your radiation but have very less side effects. So it's like taking best of both. So do the mainstream, and do also do the supportive therapy in the form of flower remedies and some emotional healing that I usually do sessions with people. This is what exactly we did, and she came out of it beautifully. um, Everything was over. So this is how I do when the patients come earlier, but not all of them come earlier. The many of them come almost when everything is tried, done, and they have nothing much left, or it's kind of very sad to see. But even then, whatever we can do, we would like to do. But to find a doctor who is going to give you a very simple neutral advice has become very difficult, because I did give the names of a few oncologists who are more conservative and who will not be so aggressive in treating such a person with low vitality with even more chemotherapy or something. But we don't find them, and every doctor advises, and it's kind of over medication, over treatment. Sometimes I really wonder that our doctors should not make money from somebody's disease, and we should be in the business of wellness rather. the business of disease, because that's when the drugs and all those things come in, and it can confuse a doctor's clarity also. So to find a doctor who will be very neutral and who will give you a very appropriate advice, completely independent of any financial gains, would be much nicer. And for patients who are very confused, patients relatives are very confused, they are divided into various opinions, they need to be supported, they need to be given clarity, they have to maybe take second opinion, third opinion, meet some people who can give some neutral advice. It is very important these days to talk to more people, ask around. In the days when we have the social media platforms, do ask, do ask. Now this friend has written that how he has understood the importance of natural remedies, or living a life of health, and of consuming plant based diet and all those things very seriously. Exactly, nothing can happen overnight. We have to start building a foundation of good health right from the beginning. Right, every single day is your health day. Every day we have to look after this temple. Our body is the temple. Every single day we have to pay attention, what are we putting in our body and how are we looking after it. That's going to happen, and that is going to build up a very strong foundation. This is what I wanted to mention, because this is what I am going through in my clinic almost every day. So I thought, and probably some of you also might be going through in your family, in your relatives, or somewhere. So thank you very much, Anjana, once again joining today here. And friends, if there are any questions, any other issues that you all want me to talk about, I'll be happy to talk. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow again at 1:05. Thank you very much for listening to me.